Okay, in this video we will talk about two unknown commands in Splunk called metadata and metasearch. Okay, now these two commands are very much interrelated, so they basically gives us similar kind of information, so that's why I'm covering them together. So we will start with metadata command, then we will move to the metasearch command today. Okay, so to start with metadata, so it's basically a very simple command. So it gives you the list of host, source and source type for a particular index. Okay, you can give multiple indexes over here as well, so that it will give you the information for all those indexes. Even the internal index and non-internal index is also you can give it over here. Okay, so at the nutshell that is what it do. So if I just go over here now, if you see, before I run the metasearch command, let me try to show you the index we will be working on today. Okay, so we have, if you are following my videos, so we have tmdb underscore index for our tmdb app, right? So if I just run this query for all time, so the latest data we have received on 21st/10/2020. Okay, and I think the earliest data we have received around, so the first data we have received around 29/9/2020. Okay, so if I just run metadata command, so now the metadata command is a generating command, so that means it needs to be the first command in the search string. That is one point. The second point is, if you remember, for other normal searches like index equals to tmdb index, suppose this kind of searches, we can give these two entries, right? Earliest equals to something and latest equals to something, to provide the earliest and latest time of the search, correct? So these two things you cannot pass it to metadata command. So that is the second stuff you need to remember over here. But it goes by the time picker values that you can choose it. So if your dashboard, if you have time picker, and in one of the panel you can use the metadata command, so that panel has to go by the time picker values over here. That's the second point over here. Okay, so now if I just run the metadata command, okay, now metadata command has 4 inputs. One is type. Okay, and if you see, for the type you can only give 3 values: host, source and source type. So hosts will give you the list of hosts which are basically sending the data to your index. Sources are basically the list of sources which are sending the data to your indexer, or basically for a particular index, and similarly for the source type as well. So that means if we just thought about a particular use case over here, we can think about, like, whether, suppose I have millions of hosts sending the data to our indexer. So for a particular index, if I just wanted to see whether a particular host has sent the data today or not, we can determine that one. Okay, maybe in those kind of scenarios only metadata command we use. So we will start with hosts basically, then we will move to other stuff, and it will be similar kind of stuff over there. Okay, so now type. Now second stuff is, there is another input called index over here. Okay, so here you can basically give the index name. So as we are starting with tmdb underscore index over here. Okay, so either you can give the index name, full index name over here, and if I just wanted to give multiple index name over here, so what you will do, you will be doing it over here, you will be creating another index input and give the index name over here. Okay, so that is how you will be providing the multiple index. Now here you can use a regular expression as well, like suppose if I have indexes name something like idx1, idx2, idx3, I can give something like idx star. That is also, you can give it over here. Or you can give a normal star, okay, which will match all the non-internal index over here. So that means for our case, we are only having a TMDB index, and also we have our main index, which is the default index over here, correct? So if I just give index equals to star, it will only fetch the data for only the non-internal index. That means the main index and the TMDB index over here, as I do not have anything in my main index, I think. So let me see that. If I just go to my main index, it don't have anything for all time. Okay, so for me it will be only giving the data for the TMDB underscore index. Now, so let's see that. So if I just give index equals to star for, let's say, last 24 hours. Now for the TMDB index, we received the data on last data on 21st, and today is 30th of October over here, right? So that means if I just run it for last 24 hours, there's nothing we have received for the TMDB index. So that means the metadata also will not give you anything over here. Now if I just run it for last 30 days, in that case, if you see it over here, it gives me result. Now first of all, as we have mentioned hosts over here, so that's why the host is my current laptop name. It is giving it over here, the laptop host name over here. Okay, apart from that, it has also given the total count, how many events we have received it over here, and the type, which is already host over here, we have mentioned it over here. And apart from that, it also gives you 3 interesting field called first time, last time, and the recent time over here. So the first time means when the first we have received an event for this particular from this particular host, okay, to this particular index over here. The last time means when the latest time we have received the data. Basically these two basically depicts the underscore time of that event, okay, for the first underscore time of the event and the latest event underscore time. So if I just do some eval over here, okay, so I already did that before, maybe I'll just do it. Eval first time, I'm just converting with the strf time over here, nothing fancy. Okay, so maybe I'll use %c over here just to make it very easy. Okay, and let's say eval. Now this one, recent time, means when the last event has been indexed. So this is nothing but the index time over here. So if you remember, in Splunk we have 2 concepts, underscore time and the index time. Underscore time means when the event happens, and the index time is when the event actually indexed into Splunk. That means it is written to the disk of the Splunk, right? So that means, so there is a difference. So if let's say we are ingesting a data or an event from yesterday, the underscore time will be yesterday's time, but the index time will be today's time over here. Okay, so I just did some formatting over here, and if you see, as we have seen, the first event we received from our TMDB index is on October 21st, right? And the latest event, okay, we did it for only for 30 days, so let's do it for all time. It will be easier to explain. So as we have seen it in our TMDB index over there, the latest event we got on October 21st. The first event we got on during September 29th, right? So that is what these two things are telling us. And if you see, the recent time means the latest event when it was got indexed. So generally in normal scenarios, both will be same, but if we are ingesting some historical data in Splunk, in that case maybe these two will be definitely different over there. Okay, and if you see, the total count is 268. So if I just see in our TMDB index, so this is our 268 events over here for all time, correct? So that is how it works over there. Now instead of hosts, so if I just give sources, it will be more clearer that it is only fetching the TMDB index, TMDB data, because nothing in our TMDB underscore index, we have we have basically a scripted input, which is nothing but tmdb underscore upcoming, right, which is pushing the data over there. So that is what it is listing it over here. So for your index, if you have multiple sources, it will list all those sources over here. Okay, and similarly for source types, if I just select it from here, so it will do the same stuff, because we have chosen the source type as underscore JSON. That is what it is showing me. And the type, if you see, whatever type you'll be mentioning over here, it will be showing up over here. Okay, so that is another thing. Now instead of index equals to star, we can directly hardcode the tmdb underscore index as well. It will give me the same information over here, because it is only currently, it is only fetching the tmdb underscore index over here. As in my main index, we do not have anything over here. Now if we omit this one, if I just don't provide anything over here, so it will by default, it will default to the main index. As we do not have anything in our main index, that's why it is not showing up over anything over here. Okay, so and another thing is, if you want to fetch the data from the underscore, that means basically the internal index, you can either directly put the index name over here, or you can use a regular expression, something like underscore star. Okay, so it will fetch the data for all the different underscore internal index, and if you see it, these are all the different source type over here. Okay, as I said, like if you have multiple source type or sources for your index, it will be fetching up over here. It will be listing down everything over here. It will also list down all the different times over here as well, when the first event occurred, when the last event occurred, something like this one. Okay, so this is how the metadata command work. Now the metadata command also have another two inputs called Splunk server. Over here, basically you can give, so if I just run this query like without the Splunk server, so if you are running this one in a cluster mode, so it will fetch the data from all the different search pair or indexer over here, and it will display it over here, right? Now if you just wanted to pull the data only from a particular search pair, you can give the Splunk server over here, Splunk server, or at the indexer cluster we can create Splunk server group as well, right? So these two input you can give it over here as well for the further filtering purpose over here as well. Okay, now the metadata command, how it's basically generally much faster compared to the metasearch command, because it's actually build its data over the time. So Splunk basically builds this data, the data related to this metadata command over time for a particular index over here. That's why when you run this particular command and with this particular given time range, it fetch the corresponding data from there. Now over here another catch is over here. Let me explain that one. So as we know, like the index are just nothing but a collection of buckets over there, right? So let's say I have a bucket from December 31st. Okay, so let's say I have a bucket which holds the data for December 31st, or let's give a proper example as well. Let's say October, so today is October 30th and October 29th and October 30th. Both of this data is present in that particular bucket. Okay, now if I just choose only for today, what should be happening? So that means I am just trying to fetch the data only for the October 30th. Now as I have a bucket which holds the both October 29th and the October 30th data, so that bucket has to be included over here, right? So in that case, the exact counts and all may not be exactly correct over here. Okay, but that's the way it works over here, because either it has to include a bucket or it does not include a bucket. If a bucket has a overlapping this kind of stuff, so it will be including the data over there. In that case, maybe there will be something mismatch over here as well, so you need to keep in mind this one. Okay, now for the real-time searches, generally it has some performance issues. So for the Splunk recommended approaches, do not use metadata command for the with the real-time searches over here. And by default, the metadata command returns 10,000 rows, which can be configurable as well in the limits.conf. So if I just open the limits.conf file, let me show you. So there is a stanza called metadata, and if you see the maxed result rows, which is 10,000, so this basically governs like how much data it will be returning maximum. So if you want to increase this one, you need to basically create a local version of this limits.conf and manipulate with this particular settings over here. Okay, now let's move on to another command called metasearch. So it's a very similar command. So if I just go back over here, so this is the metasearch command. So it's also give you the similar kind of information for a particular index, the list of host, source, and source type as well. But this allows you to give some kind of condition based stuff, which is not possible in the metadata command. Even you can pass the earliest time and latest time as well in this search. Okay, and another big difference is this metasearch command is actually associated with events. That means it basically searches the events and then it gives you the result. It does not build up on over time. So that's why compared to the metadata command, it will be little bit slower, but it gives you some more flexibility as well over here. Okay, so let's try it out. So let's open in another search window maybe. So if I just run that command, so again it is a generating command, so it has to be the first command in your search. So meta search. Okay, so over here also you can give some index name, just like we can do it for the metadata command, and the similar kind of stuff exists over here. If you give index equals to star, it will only pull the non-internal index as well. If I just give it over here and run it for, let's say, all time, so what will happen, it is, if you see it is only fetching the data from our TMDB index. So if you see it, it's apart from the host, source, and source type, it also return two interesting field called the index name and the Splunk server, and also you can get the underscore time as well over here. Okay, and if you see it does not return any other stuff over here. Okay, so it is index equals to star, means it is only returning the data from the TMDB underscore index over here, right? Because it is only pulling from the non-internal index over here. Now if I just give underscore star, let's see what's going on over here. Okay, now if you see, it is pulling from all the different internal index over here, just like the metasearch command works. Okay, in that case there is no difference. Now the difference part is you can give a field value. Now the field has to be the field extracted by the host, extracted by the metasearch command. That means from this 5 field name. So let's keep this underscore star internal index. Now over here, if you see, I have a field called index, which is having this one, right? These values. So I can give something like this one, index equals to underscore internal. Okay, so this time ideally it should be pulling the data only from the internal index, and it will tell you what are the difference from the different sources and different source type this internal index is receiving data. Okay, and if you see, it is only pulled the internal index over here. So that is, so you can give a key value pair, but the field and value pair, but the field has to be the field extracted by the metasearch command. You cannot give any other extracted field over here. One thing. Okay, now let's say, so instead of field value you can give some string as well, which will basically filter the event. Similarly, the way we have filtered the event using the field value pair, you can give something like any string over here. I'm just giving a string called search. Okay, so in that case, all the events which are having this particular keyword search, it will be searched and then it will be returned over here. And if you see, it only pulled for these 3 indexes over here. Okay, so this is another thing. And you can give the earliest over here we have chosen the all time, right? But in the metadata command, we always have to choose the time from over here, right? From the time picker. But in the metasearch command, you can give earliest and latest time as well, just like for other normal searches. LIEST, earliest, let's say 1 day, let's say -1 day, and latest equals to, let's say, now. So this, so even though we have chosen time picker all time, but we have given the earliest and latest time over here, so it will only pull for the 1 day of records over here, because this always override the time picker value over here, right? So this is how the metasearch command works. So as you have seen the difference, the metasearch command actually searches the event because it has to filter according to this filter condition we are giving it over here. Then it basically gives you the similar kind of information metadata command is giving you. So in terms of accuracy, maybe it is more accurate compared to the metadata command. Okay, but metadata command, as we have seen that scenario where a particular bucket is having more than one time frames of data, in those cases maybe it will have some counts missing. Otherwise, for normal uses, it is perfectly fine over there. Okay, so hopefully we understood about what is the difference between these two searches and what are the different use cases we can use it over here. Okay, in next video we talk about some more fun stuff in Splunk. Okay, see you in next video.